We'll move into the department reports, starting with code.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the interest of brevity, I'll just go over a few highlights again this week. Some of the statistics from the department, we had total calls of 1,302. We did 155 utility inspections, 23 code inspections, wrote 34 permits, which is picking up, and we had $18,581 in revenue. Down in the code department section, we addressed citizen complaints. The marshal wrote 90 repair cleanup orders, and the rest of it's fairly self-explanatory. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Yeah, just in general, not specific on all of them, but what the typical citizen complaints we have the 12 on?
A lot of it has to do with our overgrown vegetation, junk cars, noise, things like that, nuisance type complaints.
Any more questions for Patrick? Thank you.
Thank you.
Electric and telecom, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Used a little over 13 million kilowatt hours last month. That was a total cost of $911,000. Our top user was a little over 407 gig. It's actually dropped off a little bit, the usage has in the past month, even though the customer count's gone up. We had 54 above 200 gig. Peak usage running around 63%, which puts me and David looking for more bandwidth. When you get that 60-70%, you need to start shopping around. So we've started shopping around for another provider to get us a little more bandwidth. Work orders are all in line. A little thing of interest. Continue changing the old poles. We are getting close to having even the secondary old poles all changed out. We completed our contract tree trimming. I know everybody's happy about that. ECG now has Ned from Fort Valley as their interim CEO. They have started their permanent CEO search. Hope to have that finished by spring. We have named some committees to fix some of the problems. I actually got put on the engineering and operations committee. There was a couple of more committees about participant interaction and a few others. We're going to try to get most of those problems squared away. We've added the code office, where we started adding the code office to issue track. And we installed the first of the game op switches that we talked about the other Saturday. We've got that installed and ready to go. And we started the installation of the spacer cable behind Quality Food. If any of y'all want to take a look at that, just let me know. I'll ride you through there. And if you have any questions, I'll surely take them.
On issue tracks, Brian,
Yes, sir.
all the different areas that are using issue track, is someone being trained to follow up on the completion and the closing of the issues?
Yes. Now, Rodney was the latest that's completed being put through, and I think they're pretty squared away. Y'all are pretty happy now, right? It takes a little bit once you start, like what Patrick's just started. It'll take us 3 or 4 weeks to get it exactly like Patrick likes it. I mean, we'll start off with a form just a basic form, and then we'll work through that until we get it. And it takes a week to a month, a couple weeks to a month to get it all squared away, but so far everything seems to be going fine.
But I mean, as a part of the routine, we're not just putting the issues out there and not.
Now, what
making
happens is
absolutely sure that they're
the
closed.
software will alert you if the issues get to a certain age, and you'll start figuring out what's going on with that issue. Why hasn't it been closed? And you can go back, like you're talking about, if it's a building. If we're shooting at the building, I think that's where you're headed, and it's not completed at billing, well, we know now that issue never got billed. That's not really happening since
But I
we've got
mean,
that in
if
place.
we incorporate that in our routine to
Yes,
go
sir.
back and be reviewed.
Well, if you look, we go back, and I don't know if it's in this report right here that Mike ran. Let me look at it right quick and see if it is. But there is a report that he runs that shows aged issues. And I don't see it on here, but he runs a report. Every month that says, these are all aged X amount of days, and you go back and look why. And figure that out. Now, some of them are going to age out. Like we've got a couple of issues we're working on in telecom that are aging out because we're still looking for solutions for those problems. But they keep updating us, letting us know, hey, I'm still open. That kind of deal, just to keep us abreast of what's going on. But yes, sir, we are doing what I think you're asking.
Well, I mean, I just noticed when we first started this, after a few months, we all of a sudden looks at it, and you've got all these outstanding issues, but
Yes.
nobody was really
Right.
following up. So
Right.
I'm saying, is that now
Yes, sir.
part of the
That's
process?
being handled. Yes, sir.
One other thing I want to add is the code department, that came out of our workshop. At my request, I had asked, that could we not communicate a little bit better between the ladies downstairs, the CSRs and code? And we're trying to work out a way for Patrick and in the field to actually handle some of that. So that's one of those, hopefully, improvements.
Any other questions for Brian? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Finance Department.
Thank you, Mayor. We, just business as usual, we are working on the new GFA loan. It has been approved. I don't know, Rodney may want to elaborate on that a little bit more, but we're getting that started. And we, this month, worked on some UB policy amendments, which you'll have under your Finance Committee. And the utility workspace configuration, which we'll also cover later. But just a couple of things on the report to note. Our pending extensions are down considerably. They're at 41, so I don't know if it just took that long for the cycle to hit for that to drop, but they've been running up in the 200s, and we checked that, so not really sure why it dropped, but there are not that many pending this month. And then on the sales tax, the local option sales tax was down. A good bit. It was at 124,000. August came in at 129,000, which we had the sales tax holiday weekend there, so that may have had an effect on that as well. And then our SPLOST is a little bit low. It's at 110,000 for July, and we projected or budgeted 123,000. So hopefully there'll be some larger months that'll sort of average it out, but that's where that is right now. And then take any questions.
Okay, no questions for Renee? Thank you.
Oh, I just want to say, I like the new utility bill. I like the way it looks. I don't like the bill, but I like it.
Thank you.
Fire department.
Yes, sir, we had 361 calls to the fire department. In July, we had 160 calls for service. Of that 160, 106 were med assist type calls. Conducted 3 public relations events, aided Walton County Fire 8 times. That's pretty much it for the fire department. Got any questions on any of the stuff you see?
Okay. In the police department.
Police had 3,764 calls for service, 1,820 calls to the PD, 270 city court cases or municipal court cases. Conducted 559 hours of training. Part 1 crimes were 80, Part 2 crimes 163. Year to date, the Part 1 crimes are running down about 6%. Year to date, Part 2 crimes are running down about 7%. 112 adults arrested, 10 juveniles arrested. The community service folks picked up 520 pounds of trash and 22 tires. You can see the listed events down there, and if there's any other questions on the PD, I'm glad to try to answer.
Can you bring the community workers down my way again, please?
Sure can.
Thank you. Can I make that a standing request?
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll get them on a rotation.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Solid waste.
Thank you, Mayor. The only significant change in the reporting is that we were up in the transfer station. We got more tonnage, over 800 something tons came into the transfer station last month. So that's good news. And we picked up a few more scrap tires again. We picked up 281 scrap tires. Still working on trying to find a buyer as far as the recycling concerned. I contacted one company. They actually want to charge more than what we already doing now, so still working on that. Other than that, it's pretty much, well, we'll look up on the residential side too. And that was kind of a big increase. And on the commercial side, we were down. Business side. But that's pretty much it. Got any questions I try to answer?
I think with the transfer station, with the big increase, we didn't pick up anybody else hauling to it. It's just
No, it's the
the
same
ones
haulers,
coming,
pretty
we brought
much.
more.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Streets and transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just highlighting the report, and again, it is consistent as the last one, but we rented out the community building 5 times. We picked up about 3,200 pounds of litter throughout the city. Street department continues to work on as-needed situations, highlighting what we're currently doing in the street department now. We recently completed paving on Marable Street, and the paving of Cherry Hill Road is scheduled for next week. We started today prepping for some installation of some new sidewalk on Barron Drive. Excavation should start there tomorrow. With those two, when those two streets completely are paved, we're going to stripe those streets at one time. I know that has been a concern of some citizens on Marable Street. It's a little bit cheaper to provide that service at one time, doing more at once than rather a company coming in, striping them, and then coming back a week later to do about the same amount. So we're going to combine those and have that striped at one time. Other than that, our sign and markings division and our building maintenance and fleet maintenance continue to go about their daily tasks and working on stuff as it comes in. I'll be glad to entertain any questions regarding the streets and transportation department.
Okay, no questions. Thank you. Water, sewer, and gas, Mr. Rodney.
Thank you, Mayor. Everything in the water treatment distribution looked pretty much in line with the past months. Wastewater treatment collection, you'll notice that we treated 99.5 million gallons for the month. That's the highest I've ever seen at the plant. That was due in part to all the rains we had in July. So that number was up, way up. And we continued our work on the Edward Street to Turner Street sewer rehab. That's actually been completed now. The work on the 2011 grant job, everything's going pretty smooth now that they've got rid of one of the contractors and brought a new one in, so everything's going good there. Natural gas side, the amount sold is pretty much in line with past months. We finished swapping all the services over now to Pollock Subdivision to the new main, and started the leak repairs from the leak survey. And the Utility Training Academy, 5 classes held with 38 attendees, and the secured business with Liberty Utilities that's a big account we just got. They actually operate in 8 other states. They just purchased Gainesville and Columbus as gas systems in Georgia. And what it is, it's a private company that comes in. They buy all your utilities for small cities. They just come in and buy them from you and run them. And so we just got that account. So we hoping that's going to push a lot of business our way. So.
You want to mention the 2013? CDBG, just kind of tell where the area is.
Okay. As you are aware, we got awarded the 2013 CDBG. It'll begin at Mobley Circle. It'll go down through Wilkins Drive, cross over into George Baker's property. And once it reaches George Baker's property, that's our main trunk line for this end of town, for north of town. To replace that from there, where it intersects another trunk line on near 83, behind man, I'm drawing a blank. What's the guy's name? Right across from Carver Middle School. But intersect the trunk main there, so it's about almost 2 miles worth of main repair. Malcolm, that's it.
Okay, any questions for Rodney? Okay, if none, we'll move into the committee, information, finance.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 3 items on the agenda. The first one will be Bravo Wellness Spouse Testing. Ms. Crockett.
Thank you. I sent out an email just with some bullet points about their best practices and what they recommend as far as testing spouses, which we've already decided to do. And just wanted to kind of go over those things with you, and then get a decision to move forward with the testing. That would be the staff's recommendation. In November 13, we'll test the spouses, allowing the generous goals that we started with the employees last year. They will have a window, which is called a reasonable alternative window, that will be open for 30 days for their test results to be appealed, and then they'll go forward, and they'll have actually about 3 times to appeal any of this testing. And we'll have like a 60-day window to actually improve on any of the test results and get retested, so that they would have the opportunity, just like our employees did last year, to actually get those points back and lower any kind of premium increases that they would have. And like I said, it would be the staff's recommendation to do this and to go ahead and implement it.
Just as for clarification, last year we started the program. That would allow employees with healthy lifestyles to get their insurance cheaper.
Right.
What this would allow us to do is for employees that choose to also cover their spouses under the city plan, test the spouses so that healthy spouses will also be able to maintain a lower rate for insurance.
Right. It basically encourages people to take care of themselves.
Is there any other discussion? If not, then we need a motion to recommend the spouse testing to the full council. I'll make that motion that we recommend to the council spouse testing beginning this year.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll recommend that.
full council. Second item is the approval of the utility application process amendment.
Thank you. You've got the paper before you, and it does show the corrected version or the previous version, and then what's lined out is how it exists now, and we're recommending to make the changes that are there in print, and they're underlined. Basically, on this new service, it just says that we request that they fill out all applications, and on down in there, it says for new service, it says now that they must apply in person, and we've struck that and just say, added that they shall apply in person, and then also added that they can do this via fax or email, just other methods rather than just appearing in person, as long as we do have the proper documentation, and it's been notarized if they plan to do it remotely. So that's basically what this plan is, or plan amendment is, and hopefully just is a move toward providing a little bit better customer service.
You just quickly go over under the deposit requirements again,
Okay, now
the
that's
option. That a person has.
Okay, that's the second amendment. This
Oh, I'm
one is
sorry,
the
you
new
just said that.
service and transfer of service amendment.
I apologize. Okay.
That's all right. And basically, it just strikes the fact that the policy said that they had to appear in person, and we've had some issues with that, and, you know, frankly, I don't see any reason why, if you've got all the documents filled out and your signature is notarized, that you can't do something remotely. I mean, we all technology now, so that's basically what we're hoping that this is going to allow folks to do.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I need a motion to recommend this application process amendment to the full council.
I make a motion that we adopt the proposed policy on the new service and transfer of service.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll recommend that to the full council next week. Third item on the agenda is approval of commercial deposit policy amendment. Ms. Braden.
Thank you. Now, this is the deposit, and it is for commercial deposits. We have added that in lieu of a cash deposit, that we will also accept a revocable letter of credit from the banks. We also already will allow a surety bond to be presented in lieu of a cash deposit. And hopefully this will help some folks that are having some trouble coming up with the higher deposits. And typically it's a restaurant or somebody that, one of the large industrial businesses that have those, I did do a review on some of the smaller, well, I actually looked at all the customer commercial deposits from January 1st, and a great majority of them are fairly reasonable, around $500, which is our minimum. But there were some that were considerably higher, and typically it's because of their usage. We also struck that they would be reviewed by customer service, and put that management will review for any deposit adjustments based on usage and payment history. And so we're trying to implement a plan to review those periodically, maybe not monthly, but on a quarterly basis, and just see what their past history is, and if there's a way that we can try to reduce those deposits that maybe were fairly large, depending on their good payment history.
Just on the latter part of that you mentioned, so if a person has a deposit of $2,000 and periodically review, and they've had a good payment history, that management then can make a decision to reduce that, say, to $1,500, and apply $500 of credit toward the bill.
Yes. And, you know, there'll be factors to consider. I mean, you may be looking at somebody that's got a $2,000 deposit. Well, their bill, if it's running $8,000, $10,000, you might still choose to leave it at that.
That's the
But
option
if
you
their
would
bill
give
is
that.
running smaller or whatever, and so there'll be factors, but we'll get involved with it.
Okay, good. Then I'll make the motion, we adopt this policy.
Okay, have a motion and a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll recommend that to the full council next week as well. Okay, Mayor, that is all Finance Committee's items on the agenda for this evening.
Okay. Airport have anything?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Public Works,
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have 3 items tonight. The first one is the discussion and the approval of the purchase of the mini excavator. Mr. Steele?
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Yes, ma'am, this is going to be, I'm seeking approval for funding using SPOS funds to purchase a mini excavator. The mini X we have now would be a very sufficient Plan B. It stays down quite often and would be in dire need of some work to maintain a level of usage for everyday stuff. And there's a desperate need for a replacement for a primary excavator of this size. And I'm recommending that we go with the Takahauchi TB 260. Of the 3 quotes, it was the cheapest and is very reputable. Utilities uses an excavator like this, and we would be able to use some of the same attachments that they have at utilities in our department as well. Any questions?
All right. Go ahead.
I don't have a question, but when you have a bid. Can you, more than one bid, can you put it on a spreadsheet so we can look at them all at once, pricing at once?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Not on the committee, but I have a question because it relates to another committee thing. This is the mini excavator. And Rodney's gonna present something later for an excavator.
That's
Can you
just
explain
different,
what we're looking at?
different terminologies, two completely. This machine is, it's a little larger than the one he's
This one's a mini. And it's the larger one.
different terminology between Rodney and I.
Do they do the same thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess it's just a question of.
Well, it's
If
kind
they're
of
the same
like,
thing, why don't we just get the same?
kind of
thing?
like a push mower versus a bush hog.
Okay.
Some areas require a 18-inch cut where some might require a 5-foot cut.
One will fit in the backyard, one won't. Is the big difference between the two.
I just don't need one that size. That's a lot larger than what I need.
But you do need one.
Yes.
So, okay.
So they're both mini excavator.
Do y'all swap off and let each other use these things when you need to, though?
At times.
Oh, yeah.
That's the reason Caterpillar was built. That's all anybody wants is a mini excavator nowadays, apparently.
Any other questions?
Well, if there be no more questions, then we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
It's been motion and second, that we have the approval for the purchase of the mini excavator at the lowest price, given by, to Takaguchi. And we'll recommend this approval to the full council. Is there, can I get a motion? Well, all in favor? It's been a motion, and we'll take this approval to the council. And the next item is a purchase of a mower.
Yes, ma'am. Seeking approval for purchase of a zero-turn mower to replace the mower that our grounds crew uses now throughout the city. It is going on 12 years old and having difficulty finding parts for replacement of the motor or the mower itself. Funding for this would come from a line item that is currently not being used. It's a equipment rental line item. I think there's about $15,000 in it, and it is currently untapped. And I'm requesting that we transfer some funds out of that line item into a capital assets line item for equipment purchase to cover the cost of this mower. I'm recommending that we go with a Toro Professional 5000 from Stevens Repair Shop in Loganville. I'll entertain any questions with that.
All right, being that there are no any questions, is there a motion for the purchase of this mower?
So moved.
It's been motioned.
Second.
It's been motioned and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Well, we'll recommend this approval to the full council. And our last item is the purchase of a snowplow. Mr. Steele.
Yes, ma'am. This snow plow I'm seeking approval for. Will be a replacement for the motor grader we surplused several months ago. It is a detachable unit. It will attach to rather easily to one of our small dump trucks. We will basically, with the acquisition of this snowplow, have a typical snowplow that you would see DOT use, blade in the front of the truck and a salt spreader on the back. That way you could, in the if we have an event this winter, we'll be able to blade the material off the road as well as put material out simultaneously. Basically, it's covering all bases if we do have an event to where we need to get some material off the road, and we'll do it rather quickly.
What did you get for the excavator? I mean, the motor grader,
$120,000.
and you're using that money?
No, sir.
No.
I'm requesting to use SPOS money.
Oh, okay, SPOS.
Is this sole sourced, or are there other vendors?
This was the only vendor known. This is who was recommended through some DOT contacts. There's not a lot of vendors for this type of application in the state.
So even though it was recommended, you didn't do a price comparison?
No, ma'am, this was the only quote that I saw out. It's the same make and model who makes our salt spreader, and it was. It was highly recommended. I can go back and try to find another quote if I need to.
I would recommend that you do that.
Okay.
Mayor, do I put that in a motion that he go back and do a comparison?
You don't have to, just don't vote on it.
Okay. That'll be all, Mayor.
That'll be all, okay, thank you. Utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. First item was purchase of trailers, Ms. Millbrooks.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Asking to take the funds from the surplus we did a few months ago of some water meters and trucks and, what was it? I think that was it. Anyway, we made $21,271.99 from that sale. So I'm asking you to take some of those funds there, let us purchase 4 utility trailers for some of our equipment. Low bid was Superior Trailers of Georgia at $34.50 apiece, which is a total of $13.8.
How many trailers we have now, Mr. Miller?
I'm sorry?
How many trailers do we have now?
4.
And we're utilizing them all with, pieces of equipment.
One of the things we've recently found out is the equipment that we're pulling with those trailers those trailers are actually undersized for the equipment we're pulling with them. So what we'll do is go ahead and replace these, pull those 4 out. I think out of the 4 we could use one of them on a certain piece of equipment. The other 3 would probably come back in surplus and then replace those.
They've got some age on them. They've been since what, the
2002 was when we bought them.
If we buy these new trailers to haul some of that equipment around, will that save on the equipment?
Yes, the repair and maintenance is one up on our backhoes and some of our smaller equipment because of the fact that we drive them on the road instead of hauling them to the job. And that was a recommendation from Case on the recent, first of the year we had to have some work done on the rear end of one of them, and he said that's what caused it all. He said he highly recommend us putting them on a trailer and hauling them.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion that we put this on the agenda for next week for approval to purchase 4 trailers from Superior Trailers of Georgia for a total of $13,800.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I second that we purchase the trailers.
There's a motion, and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We recommend that to council. Next, Mr. Millbrooks.
Thank you. Asking to purchase a mini excavator. I've got, I had $100,000 in the budget to purchase 2 of these this year. What I want to do is purchase one now, and we'll see how things go for the rest of the year. And if everything continues as now, then we'll come back in December and ask to purchase the second one. I currently have 2 of these on rent, at $2,600 a month for the 2. So we would return one of them with the purchase, and then would return the other one if we were able to purchase the one in December. But the low bid was $34,871. It's a Takahauchi TB 235, and all the quotes are right behind that sheet there. If you know. See those.
Will that cut the rent payment in half?
No, actually, we had to rent them from 2 different companies because the local company only had one of them that we could rent. So we're paying him $1,600 a month for his, and the other one come from Hertz, and we're paying him $1,000 a month. So I released the $1,600 one.
That's what I was thinking. But you said you had that this was really a pretty good price.
It is. Mm-hmm.
And you anticipate needing the other one too
Yes.
in November, by November?
November, December, yeah. Like I said, we'll see how things continue on the revenue and the budget and all. Come back to you.
Unless Mr. Steele offers to let you use his more often.
What kind of, Rodney, what kind of warranties on these? What's the life of them?
Jeremiah, you may be able to speak more to that since you do. I mean, we've had one for,
We got one, the one we run now is 12 years old.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to purchase the Takahuchi excavator?
I make a motion that we purchase a Takahuchi excavator at $34,871.
Thank you. Is there a second?
No, sir.
It's motion second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries, and we recommend that to council.
thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all we have.
Public safety have anything? They don't have anything, Mayor.
No, sir.
Okay, DDA?
Thank you, Mayor. Commend all of you on the council for reevaluating commercial utility deposit element. That's going to be a real benefit to downtown business and growing downtown. So thanks for doing that. That helps the DDA with their goal of improving the business environment in downtown. When we look at downtown, within our boundaries of downtown, there are over 480 employees in downtown, which makes the downtown as a whole the third largest employer in Monroe. And so that's why when we look at how do we improve and really keep downtown vibrant and a good environment for all these small business owners. Most of the businesses are less than 5 employees. We have a handful that are bigger than 10, but most are really small businesses with 1 or 2 employees. And that's not counting part-time, that's not counting the county employees or the city. So we really want to think of ways that we can make the environment better. And we do that through the Main Street program, we do it through our events, but we also, as a DDA, the Downtown Development Authority wants to say, what can we do that the individual businesses can't do on their own? So we'll be bringing a couple of things before the council over the next few months. With that in mind. The first of that will probably be some signage, wayfinding to address the parking perception issue. We have a lot of great parking downtown, but it's out of sight, out of mind. And so we've brought in, the DCA has a design service, so they've kind of come and looked at Monroe through the DDA, and they're going to draw up some ways to do driving signage. We have great pedestrian signage, but how can we kind of guide visitors to Monroe and locals to better downtown parking as kind of a concession to say we want to be pro-business, we want to help these businesses get customers in the door. So that's one thing, is our parking sign. Also, applying for the downtown revolving loan funds. We have done that. The DDA has done that on behalf of the bed and breakfast, which will become the Sparrow Hill Inn. And so, but to do that, they have to have formal resolutions, the DDA saying that they support it and that the city says they support this effort. So we'll be bringing that probably within the next month for the council to look at, to say that they approve the DCA awarding the funds. They've already said that the project is worthy of the funds and they want to award them, but before they can actually close on the deal, they have to have the resolution, so that'll be coming forward. And then also with tourism, kind of just looking at some ways that we can partner with what we already have in Monroe. We have a beautiful city, and how do we really get the word out? Tourism is the 5th largest industry in Georgia, lots of dollars on tourism, and Monroe has a lot to offer. So we're kind of thinking, how can we get on the map a little bit more? One thing we did in June was partner with the Monroe Art Guild and apply to be a host city for the state art exhibit. This is the Georgia Fine Art Collection. And they've created a traveling exhibit, and they'll pick some select cities for it to host. And they're going to announce the winning cities mid-September for that. The DDA did this with the Monroe Art Guild. They would host it at the Art Guild. It'd be a real honor if we won that. We'll also hear back for the other tourism grants mid-September. We'll get word on those. And then along with the Pocket Park is a great thing to just improve the downtown environment. That's moving forward. I'm really excited that Public Works and Utilities Department has graciously stepped up to help us complete that project, which is going to be great. And can pour concrete a lot better than I can, so that's going to help there. And then the Project Road Share, which is the cycling community, those maps that we're modeling after Good Hope and Social Circle, we're in the design process of that trailhead kiosk downtown, which is going to bring a whole nother, cyclists already come through Monroe all the time. This will give them a reason to stop and stay, spend some money downtown and other places in Monroe. So those are kind of the most important things that are on the radar through the last quarter of the year that we're going to hopefully be bringing forward more progress in all those areas. We're excited to finally have a concert this Friday, maybe, and everything's moving forward really well with Main Street and our events, and with DDA kind of thinking of some catalytic projects like the farmers market, where they kind of start something, generate some economic momentum, and then kind of take on new little projects to do that. I think that's been very successful. We'll see at the end of the year how successful, and just want to kind of be thinking towards that more. And as they come up with ideas, I'll bring them before all of you for discussion and approval. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have about that.
No questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move into items of discussion coming up for next week. We have upcoming public hearings, a rezone at 410 East Church Street. Patrick, you want to?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a petition number 13-00218 by MG Align LLC. The property is located at 410 East Church Street, and they are looking to rezone from B2 conditional to with a different set of conditions, but still B2 conditional. So the change will be in the conditions, so it is a rezone, but it seems kind of funny to go from one thing to the same thing. But it's just to change the conditions. We met with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and their recommendation is for approval with the recommendations to fit the business plan that they presented, which is basically overnight lodging, special events, and catering.
So those would be the conditions that they would be looking for when they come before. For you next week.
Okay. We'll also have the approval of the 2013 millage rate. We'll have application for beer and wine package sales to Monroe Food Mart, and an application for beer and wine package sales Chestnut Cupboard. We'll have an appointment to the Planning Commission, which we're still working on at this point in time. Approval of the CDBG 2013 Engineering Services Agreement, and the second reading of the Political Activity Ordinance. Tonight, we have one item requiring action. That's the purchase of the utility customer service workspace configuration. And who's taking that?
Well, this is, I'll take the first part of it, and I'll let you present the cost, but this is really an item that we had sought feedback from the budget retreat that we had last month, and staff has come up with some recommendations to improve customer service, and that starts downstairs with our customer service department. And I know Renee's gotten with Mike Cash and looked at some configurations on how we can better serve our customers as they come into the office and make them feel welcome and at home. So I'll let her tell you what she's come up with and what Mike's given us.
Yeah, I sent out an email just kind of explaining it with some drawings, and hopefully that was clear enough that you could understand, what it would look like. But basically, it'll be out there where the sofas are now. I hope. Will allow our customer service folks to greet the customers as they come in. We'll be moving some other offices that are behind closed the other doors, and make it a little bit easier for them, the supervisors, to be out there and in line with the workers and the customers, and can kind of see what's going on a little bit more and be a little bit more in touch. We're asking for permission to purchase this at a cost up to $12,000. There's possibility it'll come in less, but we just wanted to make sure that it was going to be set up and configured so that the customer would come in, would not be waited on there at that workspace, but they would take them back then to the individual office where they would have privacy if needed. If it was something that was just a real quick question or whatever, it's set up so they could handle that there, but they basically would go and then handle the new customer in an office, and then the offices would be used on rotating basis. So
it's anticipated with this new configuration, when people come in, there probably would be little, if any, wait time.
That's the goal. We're hoping to cross-train the cashiers and the CSRs. Mr. Thompson, when he gets the call center set up, has asked that we aid with the phone calls. Right now, we have all of our CSRs and customer service folks. The phones are rotated, so that hopefully you pretty much get a live person when you call. You might not always, but we hope that you do. With the new phone system, the people answering the phones, the number of people will be cut considerably. Not really sure how that's going to work right now, but he's asked that we do that. And so we're thinking that if we do that, if we cross-train, it'll maybe cut the wait time. If we need more cashiers that day, then they can rotate back and forth.
So what is I know people that come like for new service for utilities, that's gonna take a while to do that.
It
But on
does.
your other type things, is it
Extension.
typically a 5-minute or less conversation?
I think so. It's my understanding that the extensions take a little while, but not anything like new service, because new service is just the protocol going through all and making sure all the paperwork's there. And it typically does just take a little bit of time to do that.
So in many cases, people would not. Need to go to an office, is that correct?
In a great many cases, we're hoping that. And of course, now we've got Ms. Meadows that sits there out in the lobby, and she takes care of a lot of that.